Hi, hey, welcome to my channel. Today, uh, we're going to talk about carry guns, personal carry guns, what you folks like to carry, what I carry. Um, it's no secret that I'm kind of a revolver guy, and I like to carry something small and concealable, I guess, for the most part. And what I carry is this Rossi uh, Model 85. It is an ultralight in 38 special. It's a stainless steel model. And, I like these small revolvers because, I do have a holster for it, but I like to stick these right in my pocket, in my coat pocket or in my jeans pocket. And, I wear my jeans are at my age, everything's getting a little bit loose on me. So you can't really see it on me. And, it's just one of those things where I feel comfortable with a revolver. Now, the Model 85 has been around for quite a few years, and it is a knockoff of the Smith& Wesson J-frame. And I've shot the thing a lot, and it shoots just fine for me. It doesn't, it's just got the fixed sights, and I know where to aim it. So, if I'm into that position, I know exactly where to put this thing to hit where I need to hit. Now, I've seen some things on the internet about the 85 Taurus that it doesn't apply to me. Sometimes they say if you pull it back all the way, halfway back, and then let it down, everything gums up and it won't fire. But that's just not the case for me. It doesn't matter if I pull it halfway back, let it down. It doesn't matter. It just goes to the next round. So nothing locks up on my particular revolver. I'm not saying that that's not your experience, but my experience is I've never had that issue. So you can pull it back halfway, let it down, and then you can see the revolver just goes to the next chamber and shoots. So it's just one of those things where you stick your revolver in, nothing's and you can nothing really impedes the fire of a revolver unless the ammunition isn't any good, which that's kind of rare in itself. So this is what I use. I like it. It's low maintenance. It's got the aluminum frame. It's got a steel barrel sleeve and a steel cylinder. I think it's steel. Pretty sure, yeah. But it's a lightweight. I did put these grips on it. These are the Packmeyer grips. They work pretty good. Just feels my hands are a little bigger, and I like to be able to wrap it around there and get a good purchase on the handgun. And you can see it doesn't take a whole lot to pull it back, especially in single action mode or whatever. It's just a nice trigger pull, and it works great. I mean, I can keep them in the bullseye at about 10 yards, and they say most gunfights are within a few yards anyway, or you're just but truth be told, I mean, the odds of getting into a gunfight are pretty rare. And from my point of view, there's a lot more on the internet, on YouTube, concerning uh, the gun battles and the whatever. I'm not trying to say you don't have the right to protect yourself. You do. It's a God-given right. I believe in the Second Amendment, and I'm a proud member of the NRA. I practice for it. I'm not saying any of that, but I wouldn't put a ton of emphasis on, uh, you know, uh, being training myself day in and day out for the the infinitely small chance that you might get yourself in a gun battle. It's a pretty small chance. If you live in a small town like me, it's an even smaller chance. So the idea that I believe, and you'll find that most of the experts, however you want to call an expert, whatever an expert is de-escalate. So you want to de-escalate everything. If you're caught in a road rage incident, and you can put the car in reverse, go the other way. if you're in a shouting match with somebody, walk away. If somebody is, causing you grief and you're in a situation you shouldn't be in, you shouldn't be in that situation. You should be aware of where you're at all the time, where you're at. And, if you're walking downtown with a loaded handgun in your pocket, it's 2 a.m. in the morning, what are you doing there? I mean, I'm not saying you can't walk downtown 2 a.m. in the morning, and, that's your right to do so. But you got to be aware of your surroundings also. You got to know the area and you got to know the neighborhood. And those are things that, you got to take into effect too. Just how do you de-escalate? And part of de-escalate is just not being where you don't need to be at a particular time. Now, you might believe in that and you might not, but, this is life and death. And, we're not talking about ifs and maybes and coulds. How you're going to react in a gunfight might be totally different than what you think you're doing it on the range. You're practicing on the range. Target ain't shooting back at you. Your adrenaline isn't flowing as high as it would be in a situation like that. You don't even really know what you'll do. Now, there are people that are trained to do that and have been in those fights, and you can take advice from them, but it's on a different playing field than civilians. If you're talking about Navy SEALs or Army Rangers or the police, then they are on a different. That's a totally different thing than a civilian. If you get yourself involved in a shooting over a dispute or over threatening remarks or somebody, something happens that you could have de-escalated and you end up using a firearm, there's a good chance you're going to jail. And, you're trying to make bail. And by the time, whatever your situation is in life, you can make bail, you cannot make bail, doesn't matter. You're going to spend some time. There's things to think about other than, how can I answer, how can I answer insults and threats in a different way than, just pulling a handgun. So there's a whole bunch of things to think about when you're trying to defend yourself in a real life situation. I don't know how I'd react. I've never had to do it. And I don't think I've had time to think about it, but I don't know that, I couldn't tell you what my reaction would be. And I have a lot of muscle memory because I do a lot of shooting. So, there's no doubt in my mind that I'm not going to be able to take the gun and shoot the gun in a way that I just don't even think about it. That's one aspect of just target shooting, being familiar with your gun. I mean, you don't want to take the thing out one time and, your life's in the balance. On the other hand, you want to de-escalate as much as you possibly can. So that's my take on it. This is the Tarus Ultralight Rossi Model 85 in 38 Special. There's always a talk about the caliber. There's always talks about, what caliber you need. Depending on what your situation, what you're protecting yourself with. I mean, it's not the ideal gun to take in grizzly country, but I know grizzly bears around here. And, maybe it's not the ideal thing to take up in mountain lion country, but, no mountain lions here either. So the biggest fear you have in the woods where I live is, people. I mean, that would be the only issue. So, you gotta be aware of where you're at, aware of what you're doing, and try not to put yourself in a situation where you have to do it. It's not. I can't even imagine that there's going to be any joy involved in doing the unthinkable. So take that for what it is. I am a promoter of the Second Amendment right. I want anybody that wants to feel comfortable to carry an arm, carry it with them, carry it in your pocket, however that makes you feel, that's great. But think all the way through the consequences. Make sure that you're understanding what's going to happen if you are in a shooting. You're going to have to surrender your weapon. You're going to have to talk to the police. You might get arrested. Probably you'll get arrested. You're going to be charged. And, where it goes from there, it's just hard to tell because the circumstances change. And there's witnesses that see things differently than what you see them, and there's a whole thing that goes on there. best thing to do. De-escalate, get away from the area, get away from the problem, don't cause a problem, don't get yourself in a situation where, you know, you're using a gun to solve a problem that you shouldn't even have to. So that's my take on the personal carry. Like I said, I can't state enough. Don't need a bunch of people commenting that I'm against carrying a gun. I'm certainly not. I have several of them that I carry. I sometimes carry a rifle in the car underneath the back seat, and a lever action rifle, a short lever action rifle, just, you know, in case. But you know, I just the older I get, the more I realize that, you know, the fantasy that you see on a lot of these games and things of that nature, and you know, the all of the things that you're able to glean some information from, especially the warriors, and, you know, all respect in the world to the men and the women that had to go into harm's way and deal with this violence. You know, especially for the police that have to deal with this kind of violence, they're in a different level. You know, when they're engaging, and believe it or not, you know, the best thing I think you can do is to be safe out there, avoid any confrontation that you can possibly avoid, and do the right thing, get yourself out of the area the best you can. And you know, if at the last resort, you know, someone's taking shots at you and you have to use your gun, know how to use it, and, you know, try to keep yourself calm, and just remember muscle memory. Practice with your gun. Make sure that you're practicing and that you're efficient with it. You know how to use it. So as far as the calibers go, and whatever you're comfortable shooting, I guess, you know, there's a lot of debate about that. A lot of wasted ballistic gel. You know, there's a lot of wasted watermelons and a lot of wasted pumpkins and all of that. You know, but it's not going to be pleasant getting shot with a 38 special. It's not going to be pleasant getting shot with a 22. And you kind of hear all kind of stories about that. Well, you know, they just keep coming when you shoot them with a 38. Well, I guess maybe 1 or 2 times we've heard these stories, and they just kind of spread like wildfire, that somehow, you know, a 158 grain bullet doing about 800 feet a second is not going to stop an intruder. My guess is 99% of the time, yeah, it's going to stop an intruder. So that's my take on it. Again, I appreciate you watching, and that's my video for this week, and I will see you again next week. Have a great day.